Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we're going to talk about some of the news that's come out of the Las Vegas Open. 40k is looking good right now, I'm not going to lie. There's some quality stuff on the horizon by the look of it, and the start of that is the fact that we have 3 new Xenos Codexes on the way as we speak. Sort of, well, kind of. The next 3 have been announced, and they are Codex Necrons, Codex Tau Empire, and Codex Drukhari, otherwise known as Dark Eldars, if you would so prefer. And, I mean, there's no downside to this. There's no way I'm going to sit here and go, I actually would have preferred... No, this is quality. We're going to have 3 Xenos releases back-to-back by the look of it, which is exactly what we want. And, they have said they've done like a little tiny tease. It's only a tiny tease, but exciting new mechanics is something that has been thrown into the article there. So there are apparently going to be exciting new mechanics. To be honest, I'm actually really interested to see what those are, especially when it comes to Necrons, just because they have an interesting mechanic that underpins them anyway. I have to admit, I'm weirdly excited for Tau Empire because I feel like Tau Empire got fairly underserved in chapter approved. I don't recall them having much in the way of attention in that, so it'll be nice to see what they get. A nice bit of I don't suppose it's really trivial, or even, if I'm honest, probably that interesting, but it did make me laugh when I noticed it. At first, when I looked at the Tau Empire Codex cover, which it's slightly hidden behind the Dark Eldar one, it should be on the screen right now unless I've forgotten to edit it in, which I say that I never forget, and even if I did forget, that's not an apology for forgetting, that just means I've done a terrible job, because in the process of editing the video I've heard myself say that and still not done it. So really, I should just not do that. But if you look at the Tau Empire Codex, I was looking at that, and I was like, oh, they've got some new artwork, that's good, because there's been a little bit of recycling here and there. Quality. And then I thought, that pose is awful familiar though. That's really familiar, that pose. On the Tower Commander on the front there. Have they used that artwork before? Now, you will see that yes they have. I'll put the older Codex somewhere else near it. It's a recolor. Admittedly, it's a good recolor, and the fact that I thought it was new for a moment kind of speaks to how decent a recolor it is. But yeah. Almost new Codex art. You've got the same as before, but it's shaded differently, so take what you can get, I suppose. I don't know, it just made me laugh because I was like, ooh, Anyway, now there's also some other stuff that came out of this as well, which is quality. So what we're going to do is we will start with the Imperium thing, because obviously we've had the announcement of 3 Codexes, we've had an announcement of something else, which we'll cover in a sec, but it wouldn't be a Games Workshop anything if there wasn't a little bit of Imperium dotted around somewhere. And this time it's a new Imperial Knight, a new kind of Imperial Knight. I really like this, I really like it. So this is the Knight Armiger, and that to me, it screams like Battletech, and I absolutely love it. I genuinely think this is a really, really nice model. And there's a few things about it that make me very happy as someone who really likes Imperial Knights as a whole, but has some things about them that I'm not entirely sure about. So, firstly, I will say that I love the fact that this thing seems to come as standard with the kind of modification that I've seen multiple people do for Imperial Knights, whereby they give them the, what's it called? Is it Digigrade legs, where they've got like kind of like the it's not like a human leg, it's like an animal leg. I don't know how else to put it. What a terrible description. The leg on that Knight Armiger, people have been doing that to their Imperial Knights for ages, which I actually think looks better. I kind of regret not doing it to my Knight, which is back there somewhere. The next Knight I put together, which is currently still in the box, I will be doing that modification to. I like the fact that Games Workshop seems to have seen that and gone, oh no, that looks pretty good. Yeah, we could do that. Unless, of course, they just outright were doing that before and just didn't make that for the larger Knights, in which case I'll be a little bit disappointed because I think it adds something to the model. Well, I think it adds at least the illusion of stability to the model, if nothing else. One thing that I've always found with Imperial Knights is I really like them individually. I like seeing a couple on the tabletop. Full Knight armies, for me, lack that impact that I get from a lot of other armies. I tend to find that when I'm looking at stuff like... when I'm looking at a larger force, the difference in kind of silhouettes and heights and the different profiles of different units make it more interesting. They make it more visually appealing. I know Imperial Knights obviously have different war gear options and stuff, but the overall silhouette is very difficult to change. Obviously people have done amazing things with them, but for me, for my money, when it comes to a knight only force, they don't have the same visual impact as other armies, despite the size, just because there's no mix there. There's no difference of heights and shapes and general profiles. Just from a purely like a visual standpoint, smaller knights alongside larger knights will do a huge amount to make the army look more visually appealing, just straight off the bat, for me anyway. I think they'll add a bit of character that otherwise is slightly lacking, and of course just having that bit of variation in terms of models and in terms of units on the tabletop is nothing to complain about. There are plenty of options for what you do with your Imperial Knight. I think is there 5 variations, 6 if you include the Renegade one. They can have the 2. Is it the Avenger Gatling Hands? I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But having more is never a bad thing. Having smaller knights that fight alongside the larger knights but have slightly less effective weaponry but are maybe a bit faster, that adds a nice amount of variation. That adds, again, a bit of extra character to an army that I find interesting but have never found appealing enough to actually dedicate myself to creating a full force of. Really, having a second one is primarily only because I enjoyed putting together and painting the first so much that I wanted to do it again. It's not even a case of, oh, this is to finish off this force or to start a dedicated force of Imperial Knights. It was just a really fun experience. I want to do it again. These things could actually turn that into a viable, for me anyway, like full army project at some point down the line. Once we get done with Custodes and Imperial Guard, and God knows what else crops up in the meantime. So yeah, I like that. I'm in favour of that. I think it looks decent. I think it looks good. And I think it adds just a little bit more to the Imperial Knights as a whole. And to finish off, we will take a look at another new model. But this is a Necron model, which I'm really happy about. Something I was concerned about was that having had the big Primaris release, having had the Custodes release and all that stuff, we would... Death Guard as well, and new Nurgle stuff. We had loads of new shit, really, when you think about it. Would be that the Xenos Codexes would come out, but we wouldn't see anything in the way of new stuff for them. Instead, we'd see them come out, and then we'd see new models for them maybe a bit further down the line if we were lucky. We're actually getting something new. Like, even if it's just one thing, that's one thing more than I expected. I expected Necrons to get. I keep saying us, but I don't have a Necron army. I'm just like, I guess I'm just on your side, Xenos players, just in general, so it's, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I really like this model. I've always found the Crypteks to look a bit weird, a little bit kind of out of left field, a bit mental, and to me that fits the bill perfectly, to be honest. At first, when I first looked at this thing, I was like, is he running behind the Scarab spider thing? Is he riding it? No. If you look, it seems to actually be part of him. Like, his big spinal cord cable thing seems to plug directly into it, which to me, as someone who's always seen Crypteks as being a bit mad, I love that. I genuinely like it. He's also got some new war gear on, so not only is it a new model, but there's also new war gear as well, which obviously will be in the Codex. So again, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good. I do like the model, and getting something new for Necrons kind of gives me a little bit of hope for maybe seeing something new for other Xenos factions as their Codexes come out. So yeah, I'm liking the stuff that we've seen so far from the Las Vegas Open. It's it's nice to see Xenos actually getting the stuff that they want, that they deserve. It's nice to see their codexes being announced, and it's nice to see that Games Workshop are actually utilising them as a way to drum up interest, like in the form of the new Cryptek and stuff. I'm hoping we see more of this. I know we couldn't go without Imperium in a Games Workshop announcement, but honestly, I like the model enough that I'm not too fussed. And to me, it doesn't really take away from how awesome the Cryptek model is. I still love the Cryptek model. It's just, as someone who likes Imperial Knights, I'm more likely to buy the other Knight because I don't have a Necron army. But yeah, look, I mean, it's good stuff. Good stuff so far. Hopefully we'll see some more announcements out soon, and we'll start seeing a few leaks or a few little rule suggestions as to what we might see in the codexes. That'd be good. Question is, what do you think? Are you excited about the new codexes? Is your codex amongst the ones that have been announced? Do you wish that Tau had actually had some fresh artwork, or are you happy with the recolor? I'm pretty sure it's a recolor of the last one. I'm not a big Tau person, but yeah, looking back, actually, I can see the Codex Tau that I got when they were first released. Good grief, that makes me feel kind of old. Also, the artwork, kind of shit. I mean, they tried, but it's not quite up to the same standards as today, let's be honest. Anyway, what do you think of all this stuff? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, feel free to click anything you see on the screen in front of you, the subscribe, Patreon, videos, all of that shite. Click if you like, don't click if you don't want to, and I will see you for the next video. Toodaloo.